Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Daily Noose with Tim Lynch. I'm Tim Lynch. Well, if you haven't noticed, I talk a lot about our educational system at all levels, and a little bit here, as you've seen, at home, with friends, a lot at work, because at work, I'm part of the educational system. I'm not just on the outside throwing stones at things. I'm actually part of it, trying to make it better. Seems to be an uphill battle. But I want to cover another story that's come up pretty recently that shows you the enabling, the nubbing down, and the downright babying of students continues. Because apparently the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, Michigan, Wolverines, is trying a new policy where they will not show freshmen their first semester grades. And just so you understand, this is not me simplifying something or taking something out of context or removing nuance just because I read a headline. I'm just going off of nothing. This is precisely what they're doing. So just to prove it to you, this is straight from the University of Michigan website. Ann Arbor, Michigan, Wolverines. From their College of Literature, Science, and the Arts. So the College of Literature, Science, and the Arts is working collaboratively with faculty and staff across campus to design a pilot program that helps foster an environment where college students can acclimate to the demands of a University of Michigan education and pursue new academic challenges. Beginning in fall 2027, so not starting right now this year, but the following year, the college will designate all LSA first-year students' first semester grades as Pass, P, or No Credit, NC, on their transcripts. While LSA students will still receive grades and instructor feedback in every course as they always have, final grades will not be recorded on their external transcripts and will not be reflected in their GPAs. LSA students' official transcripts will state that all grades in the first semester are automatically designated as P and C. So, of course, I start thinking, because that's what I do, why are they doing this? And, of course, my thoughts, they want to make things easier. They don't want their babies to be stressed. Now, you have to realize the University of Michigan is a tough school to get into, especially if you're coming from out of state. And mind you, when you are accepted to a good school like this, the bar is not set such that those who can do the work get in and those who cannot do not. The bar is a competitive one. You see, the number of spots they have set for the students is much lower than the number of students who could excel at the University of Michigan. Or again, any school like that. In other words, there are plenty of students that could do great at U of M, except the ones that get accepted are supposed to be able to do it even greater. At least if you're accepted based on your competitive academic accomplishments. And if you're getting in based on your academic accomplishments, then you've been battling academic stress for years. In your classes, right? Always trying to get those top grades. In your extracurriculars, how many can you get? Can I be the president of it? In my sports, in my pretend volunteerism, in standardized testing, even the application process alone. So when you come to college, nothing is really new. You've been getting tested and evaluated and graded at a high level for years. So allow me to make an analogy here. Let's say you're a freshman. You got recruited to University of Michigan's football team, which is excellent. And despite the fact that you've been practicing and trying out and going through combines and competing at the highest levels, the University of Michigan is going to come out and say, you know what, we've got a new policy. So for the first 3 games, we're not going to show or broadcast any video of you playing. We're going to throw away all of your stats that you've accrued. I mean, it's absurd. You come in and you perform, or you don't, but the scoreboard's on. And at this point, I'd also like to point out that you're not only not getting a letter grade, but if a student fails, they don't even fail, right? So the evaluations are P pass, or NC no credit. We can't even say fail. So if you take this course and you fail it, you just don't get credit. It's like it never happened. I mean, even Yoda told Luke he failed, and he did pretty good after that.
I don't believe it.
That is why you fail.
Really preparing for future life here. Believe me, the real world will be very clear when you fail, and they'll make sure you know it. So best if you learn it earlier on, where maybe it's not as important, because later on, you might be less likely to fail if you failed earlier. And if you still fail, you might be able to tolerate it mentally a little better, because apparently there's a mental health crisis. So, of course, I continue thinking. So they can't handle the stress. It gets removed first semester. So let's play this out. Second semester comes along, and all of a sudden they got to handle grades. Well, they're not used to it. So now I guess we're just going to have second semester suicides. But again, those are my thoughts. Let's not assume that was University of Michigan's process. Let's go right to their website and see what their reasoning was. Why cover grades in the first semester? And again, not hide grades, cover, because they're really hiding them. Helping all students establish early momentum has been recognized as the most important element in UM's campus-wide Student Success Initiative. We believe that covering grades will help students start strong and curb the mental health crisis unfolding among college-aged individuals. Now, again, I don't know if there is truly a mental health crisis or not. Let's just say there is. Be an interesting show as to why over the years things are getting worse in the academic world. Different time. We'll cover that later. Let's stick with this. So our goal is to help first-year students acclimate to the demands of college and allow intrinsic motivations to guide personally meaningful academic journeys. Core elements of a liberal arts and sciences education. For example, they can explore a subject that may not come easily to them, or take a course in a new field without the fear that a low grade may have long-term consequences. LSA is investing in students' well-being and growth by fostering a culture of connection and collaboration rather than competition. Well, even though we said it's very competitive to get in. So let's break it down. So first, as exposed, there it is, the mental health crisis. Now, I don't believe their students are as weak as they do, but even if they are, what magic occurs after the first semester by which they can now tolerate objective evaluations? Again, they've been going through objective evaluations, competitive evaluations for years. I mean, at least if they started really trying in high school, that's 4 years, but a lot of them, it's kind of a lifetime, or at least, junior high. And so one semester difference is going to do what now? By the way, I would like to take this time to express a potential conflict of interest. Because as many of you know, I went to Brown. And I know. You went to Brown. Again, not going to cover this right now. Maybe again another time. But yes, I went to Brown. And Brown did allow any student to take any class at any time. Well, not any time. I mean, they had to declare early enough in the semester. But they could take any class, pass-fail. Now, first off, it's pass-fail, not pass no credit. Even we weren't that gay. And you may be wondering, did I, Tim Lynch, of the Daily Noose, take courses pass-fail? Yeah, I did. But let me tell you how I came to that choice. So I started freshman year, signed up to take all classes for grades, letter grades, ABC, because that's what a man did. And one class that I took as a requirement in what I was doing was a class called Hard Choices, and that was taught by Professor Beiser, who was really quite good. Unfortunately, passed away due to Parkinson's disease. But he had some pretty strict rules, interestingly enough. So the class began at 9 a.m., and if you were not in the room at 9 a.m., the door was closed and locked, and you were not allowed in, no exceptions. And you were expected to do the reading for the class. And how would you know? How would he know if you did the reading? He would call on students randomly from the class list. And if you did not know the material, you were kicked out. I don't think you were kicked out for the semester. I think you just had to leave that class. And he was very clear from day one that these were the rules. And you know what? No students complained. No students melted down. We knew the rules. We were technically adults. And we were treated like adults. And we stepped up. So that being said, again, as a math science guy, I can handle math. I can handle science. I can read well. I can discuss things pretty well. I was not good at writing papers. I mean, in high school, anytime I had to write a paper for English or history class, oh God, I hated those. I mean, I hated writing with a passion. I would write the paper. I would print it up, bring it down, and my mom and I would sit and she would edit it with me. And after running through many, many, many red pens, I would go back and make the changes. And then we do it again and edit and go. And it was exhaustive, but again, I was not good and I needed a lot of help. And so there you go. So eventually when I went to Brown, I was going to be on my own, right? No one to help me with my editing, just me.
Son, you're on your own.
So in that class, I wrote my first paper at Brown. And it was pretty short. I think it was, one of those 3 to 5 page papers on whatever. And I have no idea what that paper was on now. But I did my best and I thought I did all right. And when I got my paper back, I looked at it and I think I got a C. And I was like, oh, God, I just can't do this. But I didn't collapse. Yes, I was disappointed. I thought maybe at least get a B on it. But my first thought was I should go discuss this with the TA and see what was wrong and see how I could get better. So I made an appointment. I went to the TA. I asked him about my paper. And so we sat next to each other, in the classroom. And he started telling me about all the points that he disagreed with. And after he made several of those points, I very politely interrupted him and said, I get you don't agree with my opinions and my points in this paper, which, by the way, were all backed up, and cited and, supported. But I get you don't agree with them. But how did the paper read? Like, was it clear? Could you follow it okay? Was it easy to understand? And he said, oh, yeah. I mean, the paper was very well written and very clear. I just don't agree with your opinions here. And I was like, perfect. So I said, thank you for your help. I really appreciate this. That's all I need for now. And I took my paper and I left and I went straight to the registrar and I changed that class from a grade to pass fail. And after that, any objective course I had, math, science, statistics. Oh God, don't get me started on that statistics course. It is amazing. I didn't answer a single question wrong on any homework assignment, quiz, test, and I still barely scraped by with an A-. But anyway, neither here nor there. You could tell it's a sore subject. But I took any objective course as a grade. Any subjective course where they could disagree with my opinion, I took pass-fail. But back to Michigan. So I actually had one more thought after reading their rationalization. And that was in their statement that covering the grades would allow the students, quote, intrinsic motivations to guide personally meaningful academic journeys, end quote. And for some reason, the administration thinks that will mean students that are like, chemistry majors will try their hand at learning German, or poetry majors will take a physics course. And I'm not saying that doesn't occur once in a blue moon, but let me tell you how human nature works. At least 18-year-old human nature. And what the vast majority of 18-year-old student intrinsic motivations will do is, at best, give them the freedom to lie to themselves about what true scholarly activity is, while they take courses like sexual citizenship. Yep, that's a real class at Michigan. And I know what you're asking. What is the sexual citizenship class? So sexual citizenship, Sociology 223/Social Work 223/BS 556, explores why sexual misconduct remains a challenge in campus life. In this course, you'll discover what sexual citizenship is and how it connects with race, gender, sexual orientation, and other identities to shape experiences with gender-based violence. You will examine the structural and cultural factors that impact this issue on campuses, from the geography of campus spaces to social norms about gender and relationships. You will engage with contemporary research on sexual ethics and comprehensive sex education. Finally, the course looks at how student activism, institutional policies, and community engagement can help foster a safer campus environment. This course offers a meaningful way to understand and influence the campus culture around you. By the way, the header for the next paragraph on the course description is, what is the course workload? I'm not touching that one. That's what she said. Okay. Anyhow, so covering grades will also give the students their intrinsic motivation to study less in the classes while they party, drink, and do drugs and have meaningless sex, which will then not, ironically, 360 back to the sexual citizenship class. Well, shit, maybe I should teach this. Anyway, so those were my thoughts. Wait. Don't go anywhere yet. I said those were my thoughts. Because there was one other take on this that I want to present. So when this first came out, again, like a week or two ago, I happened to be passing one of the cardiologists in our hospital that I work with and know very well. And initially, I was not going to use his name because in the academic world, having conservative thoughts can be used against you. Has not been used against me personally. I'm very outspoken, by the way. Most people think I'm crazy because I speak honestly, and I have obviously very conservative thoughts. But I will say it has, to my knowledge, not been used against me. I mean, it may have, but as far as I know, it hasn't. But anyway, so I initially was not going to name this person, but he said, no, you can use my name, which shows balls, my friend. It shows balls. So anyway, Dr. Millar, Bob Millar, listens to me in my quick hallway discussion about my points that you just heard about. That was not so quick. And he said, I would like to look at this from the opposite angle. What about those kids that are crushing it, knocking it out of the park? They'll get no credit for their success. And I was like, yeah, I never even thought of that, which is sad because I am very aware in general of how the educational system focuses heavily on the underperforming students and really has little or no programs to focus on the gifted. And it's not the poorly performing students that are going to find that next antibiotic or invent that new life-saving invention. I'm not saying, by the way, we should ignore them. We should still try to help them as well. But if we're going to weight something, we should do the opposite. We should put all of our money on the fastest horses and the strongest horses. But we're not. And by the way, I'm the first person to tell you horses run at different speeds at different times. I'm not saying focus on those people and stay on those people. Focus on the fastest at that time. That might change. But, like all things socialist and communist, we're not making the weak strong. We're making the strong weak. But tell me what you think. Right? Wrong? Missed a point? Leave a comment. And I'll see you next time on the Daily Noose.